TikTok sale. Then in April 24th of 2024, President Biden signed a bipartisan TikTok bill that banned it. In May 7th of 2024, TikTok and ByteDance sued the United States. On August 2nd of 2024, the Federal Trade Commission, the Department of Justice, sued TikTok and ByteDance. On December 6th, a little more than a month ago, a federal appeals court upholds the ban. On December 27th, President-elect Trump asks the Supreme Court of the United States for a ban pause. There is a hearing on January 10th that I listened to on the Supreme Court, and January 19th is the deadline to ban or sell or no. I didn't mean no. I got to get you off here. Okay. How do I get this person off? I accidentally hit her. Someone tell me how I get her off. Can you click off, ma'am? Please, can you click off? How do I click her off? Someone tell me how I click her off. Can someone tell me? I don't know how she joined me. Can you just click off, Trio? Is that you? Can you just click out, please? Trio. Oh, God. This is terrible. Trio, the woman that I accidentally invited in, could you click off? Drop off Trio. How do I do drop off Trio?
Hey, David.
Live? I don't want to restart the live. Oh, my God. Trio, can you just click out, please? How do I click her out? Trio, click out. I'm not going to let you speak, Trio. Oh, my God. She's frozen. I don't want to restart the live. Trio, drop. Tap the disconnect. Where's the disconnect for her? Now my other thing's frozen. Here we go. All right. I don't know how to get rid of Trio here. Unk is struggling. Unk is struggling. She's not going to listen. Red note, stop. I'm not yelling at anyone. Just ignore her. I don't want to restart the live. There's got to be a way I could kick her out under guests. All right.
David, I'm here.
Okay. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invite anyone. I know you're there, Jackie. Somehow, someone got onto my TikTok, and now I'm freezing up over here. Okay. Okay, the X over the host box corner. There is no X over the host box corner. X over the host.
Trio. Who is this Trio lady?
I don't know. I don't know how to get her off the thing. Trio, get off. I accidentally hit her. All right, there's got to be
that. That's an admission against your own interest, David.
All right, I muted her at least. And then this thing is going crazy. We're having a lot of technical difficulties. Boomer, am I right? This is hilarious. It's not hilarious because Trio's on here. She's not supposed to be on here. I'm trying to kick her out.
How did she get the invite, David? How do you know Trio?
Jackie?
How do you know Trio? How'd she get the invite?
I don't know. I was pressing a button and she just came on. All right. I don't know how to kick her out, though. Do you know how to do that, Jackie?
David, you're my TikTok guru. I'm joining your TikTok live.
Right. I know everyone's laughing. Trio, get out of my live. I don't know why she's on my live with me. Poor Trio. Just close your live. Click mute. How do you wait? All right, hold up a second. People on TikTok, hold on a second.
Help us.
Oh, there it is. I did it. All right. Wonderful. All right. We're live now. So
all right, now you have to add me, David. You got to add me.
All right. So did you ask to add me?
Well, I don't.
Okay. Jackie, you have to ask to add me. This is so hilarious. All right. This
I'm
is
watching you live. I just don't know how to ask to add you.
Jackie, you have to ask to come in. All right. I'm not going to add. Jackie, you have to ask to come in. Have you asked to come in, Jackie? All right.
Asking, TikTok, can you guys help us? How do I ask? What button do I push?
Click multi-guest and disconnect.
Oh, got it. Okay, request. There we go.
All right. Now then, Jackie, where are you at? Okay. You're going to have to mute, Jackie. All right. Jackie's on with me at TikTok. Jackie, make sure you mute. We're going to get Jackie, mute yourself.
We're working on it. Oh.
All right. You're muted. We're good to go. All right. Let me go back and start. So we wasted 7 minutes. We'll go an extra 7 minutes. Joining me, you can see her on my TikTok, but you can't hear her on TikTok. She's on YouTube with me. She's on our Instagram. Is Jacqueline Soroka. She's a lawyer for the firm in Palm Beach, Florida. And I can assure you that her weather is much better than mine. It's 17 degrees out there and it's snowing. So let me quickly go over where we are with TikTok and the band. Okay. So let me just adjust this a little bit, bring this down just a tad there. All right. So let me tell everyone where we're at with the band. The Supreme Court heard arguments on January the 10th. The deadline to sell is January 19th. And the Supreme Court has not ruled. They can issue a ruling any day now. So that's where we're at with that. All right. And they have an extra 100 days if they have a contract to sell it. What I want to talk to everyone about now is what happened in Pennsylvania. So I got a little bit of a timeline here. Let me go over it with everyone. At 9:14 a.m. on 12/9 of 24, okay? So we're December 9th of 2024. This crime happened on December 4th of 2024. That's when Luigi Mangione first made contact with the Altoona Police Department. Tyler Fry and the Altoona Police Department, Joe Detweiler, at McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. At 9:14 is the first time that they have an encounter with Luigi. Now, what had happened was a couple of the guests in the restaurant and one of the employees recognized Luigi and called the police. So the police get there at 9:14. Now, you have to understand, folks, how this works. If the police have a reasonable, articulable suspicion, they're allowed to go up and question you, okay? And that's what they did. From a reasonable, articulable suspicion, it could lead to probable cause. And I have found out at 9:58 a.m. on December the 9th, 2024, is the exact time Luigi was handcuffed and he was searched on the scene. So, Jackie, why don't you talk about the concept of search incident to arrest?
All right. Well, I think that TikTok viewers and all the viewers out there should know that the police are not your friends. We respect them. They're civil servants. They protect us. That's all well and good. But like, if you're actually being stopped, whether it's your person, your car, or otherwise by the police, that is not your friend. And you know, the old montage that's actually constitutional, anything you can or say will be used against you is 100% true. So
anything you can or say will be used against you.
Don't offer up things. Don't show them how smart you are, particularly if you've had a few drinks that night, because you're not smarter than they are. And, you know, in certain jurisdictions, there's corruption. So search and seizure, don't fight it. Even if you're a constitutional scholar, even if you know the amendments better than anyone else, because it will not end well for you. The best thing you can do, I tell everyone, is arrest me if you have a basis, otherwise, and I want my lawyer. this is my lawyer, have a lawyer. I want my lawyer.
Okay.
I want my lawyer. That's all you need to say.
You got me a little ahead of the program. When the police are arresting you, they are allowed to do what's called a search incident to arrest. So the police show up at 9:14 is their first encounter. They arrest Luigi at 9:58. Now, at 9:58, they are allowed to do a search incident to arrest. So if he has a bag with him, they can search his pockets. They can do that search without a warrant. Okay? It's called a search incident to arrest. The basic premise comes from the Fourth Amendment, meaning you cannot be searched or seized without a warrant. But the United States Supreme Court has made exceptions. And the one exception is search incident to arrest. Okay? So
and that
we don't know
extends,
how.
David, like I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's levels to that, right? So would that encompass, like for us ladies that have a pocketbook or a purse, will that include them going into our purse? Would that include
Yes.
them going into our glove box? Like it
Well, the
goes
glove now.
beyond.
You're mixing up concepts. If you have a purse on you and they arrest you, they can search that purse incident to that arrest. If Luigi had a bag on him, they could search that bag incident to an arrest. Okay? That's a well-established exception. Okay? At 10:18 a.m., Luigi is taken to the Altoona Police Department where he was searched again, fingerprinted, and I'm assuming was questioned. Now, I want to talk to everyone about what is Miranda. If everyone heard about the Miranda rights, okay? Miranda is, you have right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The police only have to give you your Miranda rights if they're conducting a custodial interrogation. Okay? So think of you are arrested, you are taken to the police department, they read you your Miranda rights, and now they want to get information from Luigi. And the police are very adept on how to do that. Oh, they'll buddy you, they'll do this. But I don't care if you're innocent or guilty. If you are in a custodial interrogation, here's what I want everyone to say. I'm not saying anything till I have a lawyer. You understand that? I'm not saying anything until I have a lawyer. Because when you invoke your right to counsel, a steel curtain comes down. Okay? And they're not allowed to question you anymore. Now, I don't know what they learned about Luigi. We don't know if he invoked his right to counsel. We don't know if they learned anything about him. I have a couple of assumptions. Here's my assumptions. They took him in there. They're saying, hey, if you talk, it'll be better for you. It will go easier on you. They have a lot of, the detectives use a lot of good guy, bad guy. There's a million ways they do this stuff. Here's what you should say. Even if you're 100% innocent, okay, you don't know how they're going to write things down, how it's going to come out. Just say, if you want to question me, okay, I want to have a lawyer with me. You have an absolute constitutional right not to be questioned about your anything until you have a lawyer there. We all clear on that? We don't know whether Luigi made a statement or not. Here's what we know. From 10:18 a.m., that's when he enters the police station. And then it's not until 6:07, so about 8 hours, okay, he's taken to meet with a judge. And then later that evening, and here's where my conspiracy juices go. Later that evening, and here's a picture of it, folks. I've blown it up for everyone. And I circled it. You see where I circled that, everyone? And you see that? It looks like he has socks on. Okay? Those don't look like shoes. And he doesn't have a coat on. See, he has no coat on. He has no coat and no shoes. Now, if you remember December the 4th, the assassin was wearing white shoes. So my assumption is that they took those shoes at the police department and they took his coat at the police department. And we know they confiscated the fake ID and the manifesto. So those are two pieces of evidence they have. And we don't know where the shoes are. It looks like in this picture that he has socks on. We don't know how he got to the McDonald's. We don't know whether he drove there, whether he walked there, but we know that later on that evening, he's being perp walked into that county jail with socks on. Okay. And my assumption is that they took his shoes and his coat and the backpack, and they probably did a swab or got a search warrant for a swab. And so that's all going on right now. So the other issue that a lot of people are asking me, I want Jackie to weigh in on this, is why isn't this double jeopardy? Okay. And here's the reason. The federal government is considered a separate sovereignty from the state of New York. So you commit a crime in New York, you can be committing both a federal crime and a state crime, and the federal government can charge you, and so can the state of New York charge you. Okay, I don't know if he had a laptop. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We know this much. This picture is a picture of Luigi going into the jail with no jacket and no shoes. So in Altoona, Pennsylvania at this time of the year, it ain't too warm. So he probably had a jacket and he probably had shoes. We don't know where they're at. We just don't know. Okay. We then know that he waives his extradition. So he's charged with crimes in Pennsylvania. I did a post on that. Okay. He then hires a Pennsylvania lawyer to do just the extradition. And then he was supposed to have an arraignment on his indictment in Pennsylvania on 1/21 of 2025. But on 1/3 of 2025, his lawyers filed a waiver of arraignment. Now, what is an arraignment? An arraignment is simply when you go to the judge and you plead not guilty or no contest. That's what an arraignment is. And when you're charged with a very serious crime, almost always is you plead not guilty. But you can waive your arraignment, and that's what Luigi did in Pennsylvania. He waived his arraignment that was supposed to take place on the 21st of this month, and he waived it. He entered a plea of not guilty by paper. Does everyone understand that? All right. Then he was supposed to have an extradition hearing. What's an extradition hearing? Jackie, why don't you explain what an extradition hearing is?
Well, that's not my forte, David, but I'll defer to you on an extradition hearing, even though I'm a divorce lawyer now. My old school is criminal, but a couple of the things I want to just go back on that you touched on, which is, and a lot of the comments seem to keep focusing on, is the coat and the white shoes, or the shoes, right? So we have surveillance, David, that everyone saw. I mean, you could live under a rock and have seen the shocking surveillance. And there's two identifiers aside from the gun, which that's a whole other topic. There's the green coat and there's the sneakers. And those sneakers have a very definitive white sole that is a swoop. Kind of looks like a Fila, or there's a stylistic swoop. And so you have to ask yourself, at the time, the picture, if you hold up that picture, they're walking him into jail. The jacket's gone and the shoes are gone, but we have no indication of who has either one of those. The most exculpatory possible freaking evidence for Luigi would be if what they took off his body, of course, didn't match the surveillance, and you and I talked about this, if they had a smoking gun, they being the state, the feds, to prosecute Luigi, they 100% would release the evidence log and show these shoes match the surveillance that's live streaming on your social media, on the news, but they haven't. And there were questions. Everyone like focused on the eyebrows, the jacket, because those were the things that immediately meet the eye. But the sneakers, David, I think you've really hit on something that, you know, we don't look down at people's shoes most of the time. The socks was a huge find that you saw. But that swoop, if we go to the surveillance image, you can so clearly see that the state or the feds, if they can't link the shoes off of Luigi's body to the shoes in that surveillance, in my opinion, they can't prove their case. So well, I think that that's a huge deal.
Look, here's what we know. And then someone has a question here on TikTok I want to answer. They did get 2 pieces of evidence off Luigi. One was a manifesto.
Did he write it?
It wasn't a confession, but it's not a good piece of evidence for Luigi, folks. It's basically saying why he's doing this. Now, he doesn't name Brian Thompson directly, but that, make no doubt about it, folks, that manifesto is a very strong piece of evidence for the federal government and for the state of New York. And so is the fake ID. Now, on the fake ID, I don't think it's as strong as the manifesto, because if you are making fake IDs, you're not just making one. When people make fake IDs, they make 10 fake IDs for people and they just give them all to it. So this one person asked, Luigi had a backpack on him when he was arrested. So what was the backpack in Central Park? See, that's my original post on this got 9 million views. Here's what doesn't make sense to me in the case. And I could be wrong, but here's my spidey senses on this. Luigi or whoever did this wanted you to see that backpack, right? Everything else was black, white tennis shoes, and that backpack is very distinct. Now, the assassin knew the cameras were behind him, but they knew that there were no cameras giving him a face shot. If you notice, they only played the camera from the back. And so he was adept with the weapon, all right? Because it looked like it jammed, and then he unjammed it and went over. It was a cold, calculated assassination, no doubt about it. No one should relish that somehow this is a good thing for the country, someone getting assassinated in downtown New York. The question is, who is the assassin? That's the question, okay? And so if you're so good at making sure there's no camera catching your face, and then you walk from the scene and somehow then go to Central Park where there's no cameras, leave the backpack, leave the phone, but you take the fake ID and the weapon with you, he's either sloppy or he's not the person. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that he'd be so cautious in all those other things and so sloppy in the other things. Now, what are the police and the FBI doing right now? First of all, the fact that the federal government took it, and a few people saw my post earlier, it's never good when the federal government takes your case, because federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction. Unlike state courts or county courts or district courts, common pleas courts, they take everything, basically. But federal courts and the Department of Justice can be very picky on what they take, all right? And I've tried a lot of federal cases. I only have 2 wins in federal court in 39 years and 1 draw. Most of the time we just plead because they only take the cream of the cream. Okay. So he has been indicted in the state of Pennsylvania. He's been indicted on an 11 counts in New York. He was given a complaint in the federal court, and under the rules, they have to have an indictment within 30 days of the complaint. But both Karen Freeman Agnifilo, I call her the Lamborghini lawyer, and the United States government have pushed that out to February 17th. They have to have an indictment by. So that's where we're at. All right, so let me try to answer some of these questions, Jack. Are we getting any questions on YouTube? All right. I agree with Jackie. Why do they keep calling this a manifesto? It was never published anywhere. It's 262 words long, and the kid wrote so many papers. He writes 262 words in a spiral notebook. Yeah, I've heard this. Is could the police have planted that on him? We don't know. We'd have to see the body cams. If the Altoona Police Department have body cams, they'll get to see the body cams. So most police departments now have body cams. It's right here on the police officers. And they click it on and it catches everything. There's probably footage from the actual McDonald's that he was at. Okay? What's this person saying? I don't know what that person's saying. All right. So we don't know how he walked into the McDonald's. We don't know if he drove there, if he walked there, what backpack he had, but
what shoes he had on.
I know this much. That shooter knew that camera was behind him. He had to have, right? There's no frontal shot of him. And he wore a very distinctive backpack. So whoever did that wanted you to see that backpack. I think that backpack's going to become very important.
This backpack, David, that's the backpack that you're referring to, or I guess I'm trying to show this. I'll show this on TikTok too. We all know the backpack. But what I think is interesting is we all focus on, and I'm trying to do this so we can do it on both cameras. Sorry. We're focusing on the gunshot, on the point. We're focusing on the backpack, on the hoodie. But what we don't focus on is the shoes. And they're not white sneakers. These are black sneakers with, like what I was telling you, a very high and defined, almost like a moon boot. It has an inserted, elevated, it almost lifts like about 2.5 inches is what I'm looking at. The sole of that is white. And so what's very distinguishable about this, unlike a white sneaker or a black sneaker, is whatever shoes they took off Luigi's body, better freaking match that. Screw the backpack and the jacket. In my opinion, if I'm a defense attorney trying this case, I'm going to focus on that. If the shoes they took off his body don't match the surveillance. And what's interesting is, David, in almost 4 decades of practicing law, how many of your clients have been hauled into the station in this kind of situation without shoes on when it's cold out?
They don't take your shoes off you until you get to the jail and you get a jail uniform. So they took his shoes beforehand. Here's my assumption on what happened. He was at that Altoona Police Department 8 hours. My spidey senses tell me some detectives from the New York Police Department and or FBI agents flew into Altoona and tried to take a crack at questioning him. And if Luigi said, I want a lawyer, that's it. They're not allowed to question him anymore. So I want to answer someone's question here. Is it possible the feds didn't get an indictment, so that's why the time was expended? Look, they have until the 17th, but an indictment, no jeopardy attaches if they don't get an indictment right away. They can dismiss those federal charges and still wait till the investigation goes on and re-bring it up. Double jeopardy does not apply until a jury is sworn in and put in the jury box for that sovereignty. That's when jeopardy attaches in a case. All right. So we know that this assassin knew where to go into Central Park where there are no cameras, left the bag with Monopoly money. And then they're saying he dropped the phone. But look, there's going to be 2 pieces of evidence that are going to make or break this case, in my opinion. Okay? Well, really 3. DNA. if they can lift DNA. They call it DNA fingerprinting, but that's like a misnomer. So here are my glasses. See, when I touch these glasses like this and I put them on, I'm shedding my DNA on these glasses. And sometimes they can lift the DNA off of an object, and then they can take your DNA and they can compare it. Okay? Now, you also have a right to hire your own DNA analysis, okay, and have it done there. If those shell casings that were left at the scene have DNA on them and it's Luigi's DNA, well, it's over for him, in my opinion. Okay,
he's gonna take a plea. It's done.
Yeah, but in the murder cases I've done with DNA, I've never once had them lift DNA off a shell casing. So I don't know. Then the ballistics. Okay. Now, what are ballistics? Ballistics are where they take the weapon and they test fire it. So if you have a revolver doesn't eject shell casings. But like a Glock or a 9mm with the slide, those eject a shell casing. Now, they said the shell casings resemble the shell casings at the scene. That's no big thing. Shell casings can resemble one another. But with a weapon, it can leave a distinct mark on the shell casing from the firing pin. So they're going to compare that with the firing pin on the casings left at the scene. And if they recovered any bullets, as think of a barrel. Now think of the Revolutionary War. They didn't rifle barrels then. What I mean by rifle is they put grooves into the barrel, and so when the bullet comes out, it comes out straighter. Each gun leaves a unique striations on the bullets. So if they have enough to make a comparison, but here's the crinkle in that case. This was a ghost gun.
Ghost gun. Yeah, we got a ghost.
We have a ghost gun. Now, some ghost guns are just one or two fires and then they're done. I don't know. They have a national bank of firearm striations. So they have a national bank. So they could tell if someone used a weapon in Ohio and then they found some bullets in Pennsylvania, they could put it into the national database and hook them up. But with a ghost gun, there's unless it was used before in a crime, it wouldn't be in the national database. DNA, they have a national system called CODIS, where when they arrest people now, they put their DNA in, and everyone that gets these 23andMe and all that, they're using that to solve murders and absolve people too. They could go down to like third or fourth cousins. So I'm going to be looking for the DNA, if there is any, okay, and the ballistics. Now, the problem with the ballistics is we have a test called the Daubert test. And so ballistics have come under greater scrutiny lately than before. That doesn't mean the courts aren't allowing them in, but under this Daubert test, they've been subject to a lot more scrutiny, and especially with a ghost gun. As I've been telling everyone, the law always lags behind the science. So we don't know if a ghost gun leaves unique markings. We don't know what kind of a barrel was used on the ghost gun. I looked at the weapon they say they seized from Luigi, and I look at the weapon that the assassin used. Just from my eyes, they look different, okay? The other piece of evidence they're going to have are all the CCTV footage. Now, you got to understand something with CCTV. A lot of things can affect it. Lighting, the type of camera. And so people are saying, well, they can put AI on it. Once again, Daubert comes in. Okay. And so AI is a relatively new phenomenon. Facial recognition is relatively a new phenomenon. I'd have to look and see whether courts have said that AI passes the Daubert test. So these are all things that we have to wait and see. But here's my spidey sense going off. And how are we doing on time, Jackie? What time is it? Oh my God, we're already running over. All right. I'm going to end this in a few minutes. Here's where my spidey senses are going off. Reason and common sense. That's what I use on every case. Reason and common sense. If the government had a really killer piece of evidence, you don't think it had been leaked to us already? You don't think that that piece of evidence would have been leaked? A detective would have given it to a reporter or something? That's what's just making me think that, look, this federal indictment is going to have a lot more in it than the state indictment. Okay. And so they might not indict him. They might say, you know what, we're going to wait and see how this investigation plays out. We just don't know. Okay. Oh boy, I'm having a lot of questions here. All right. It's not a, all right, wait a minute. Oik's turn said it's definitely not a slam dunk case. Not now, it isn't. No. But if they get DNA and they have ballistics, it's a little tough thing. You know, I bumped into some lawyer friends of mine. They go, Dave, that guy did it. No doubt about it. I go, I'm not so sure. I mean, everyone's rushing to judge him. Okay. How long to get DNA? It just depends on whether or not they can lift any DNA. Here's what they said they had. They said they had a smudge of a fingerprint, a smudge. Nah, that's not gonna cut it, near the scene of the crime. And the casings resemble the casings they found on Luigi, but they haven't done the ballistics. DNA takes a little bit of time to do. Okay. Will Luigi, wait a minute, let me just try to answer some of these questions, then I gotta go. Will Luigi need witness protection if he's found to be not guilty? Look, this has been one of the most upsetting things for me in this case, is that people, if he did it, we don't know whether he did it or not, but if he did it, there's not vigilante justice in this country, people. We can't have vigilante justice. That leads to chaos. It leads to anarchy. Okay? We have a good system. The government must bring the goods. They made the allegation. He's presumed to be innocent by a document called your Bill of Rights. Okay? And when we threw off the yoke of King George, that's where the Bill of Rights came from, because they were arresting people without, probable cause. They were searching people without search warrants. They weren't giving people jury trials. Where do you think all these Bill of Rights came from? So the government made an allegation, and now we have to wait and see. We just don't know what we don't know yet. But I wanted to get everyone caught up on the Pennsylvania case. I wanted to show everyone, excuse me, the boomer's bending over, and he doesn't know what he did with the color picture. Oh, there it is. The boomer found it. He definitely doesn't have shoes in this picture. See right there? So my spidey senses say the police took his shoes. Those shoes could be exonerate him, or they can implicate him. We don't know. All right. And so we're going to end it now. Thank you, everyone. I'll try to do another one Thursday. Jackie and I will try to do another one Thursday. We're going to cover a lot of cases and a lot of other things. Jackie's in Palm Beach. What's the weather there like, Jackie?
Full 77.
77. Okay, it's 77, really? It's 19 degrees and snowing here in Ohio. Everyone's commenting on this piece of art behind me. And so I just want you to know, in my office, this is the only piece of art that is hanging in my office. And the shoe represents the government or a big
Can't see
corporation.
it, David. You gotta tilt your camera up so we can, or I guess one of these we can
Right.
see.
There you
What did I do here? I somehow lost you on my screen. Where are you?
No, I think Leo.
I don't know where you guys
I think
went.
Leo. No, I think Leo cut us off the other stream.
I didn't. He knocked himself off.
There we go. All right, Jack. Well,
He did it to himself.
Wait, no, I think we're actually still live on TikTok, David.
Yeah. But he's gone.
a big corporation or the government, this person is your lawyer.